When governments are trying to solve poverty and provide transfers to poor families, one of the choices they have to make is, should they give people cash and let them buy whatever they want to help themselves, or should they provide some goods or services, quote unquote, in kind, like providing public housing or providing people with a basket of food every month? So our research is looking at one aspect of this choice governments make between cash and in-kind, which is, how do they affect the local prices? So if you give people cash and they have more money to spend, you would think part of that's going to lead to higher prices, and that might erode some of the benefit. And on the flip side, with in-kind transfers, they can actually have the opposite impact. So all of a sudden, the government is trucking in food, creating some competition for the local stores, and they might lower their prices. So all of a sudden, you have one kind increasing prices, one kind decreasing. That could be a big effect that affects the government's choice, or it could be pretty small in practice. Mexico had a food transfer program for very poor, small villages in rural Mexico, where each month they would give people a box of food that was worth about 200 pesos, or about $20 US. When the Mexican government was first rolling out this program in 2003, they wanted to know, how well is this program working? What kind of food do people eat when they get cash, and how does that compare to the food they were shipping in? In the process of that, they collected data on prices in local stores, and they asked people what prices they paid. We used that data to measure these impacts. In the villages that got cash, was there inflation? How much was it? And in the villages that got boxes of food shipped in, did prices fall, and by how much? We were looking in pretty small, poor villages of 2,500 people or less. And even there, in the bigger, richer half, there were pretty negligible effects of cash transfers on prices. And that's suggesting that when we think about policies like basic income, even with large transfers in places that are pretty connected to the rest of the world, there probably won't be huge effects on inflation, at least for these traded goods. On the flip side, when we look at our smaller villages or poorer villages, there was a sizable impact on prices. And it's suggesting that thinking about these price effects is an important part of the choice of cash versus in-kind. And there's a broader lesson that in very poor parts of the world, there's often imperfect competition, that there aren't a lot of stores competing to drive prices down. And part of what government policy can do is shake up the competition in these very poor parts of the world.